For a guy that barely graduated high school English class, the fact that I have my own Substack and I'm writing stuff is pretty amazing to me. But I think to your point is you got to have a point of view, right? You've got to put something out there that's unique and different and have a perspective on something. Generally, people out there that are going to gravitate towards you and listen to what you have to say, it just takes a lot of time. And
they will listen. I've got a column in Mailing Systems Technology magazine that I've been writing that since 2010, believe it or not. And a common theme there has been, let's keep making mail better. Of course, the audience there is mail provider. We're always talking about mail, but documents in general and the way that we communicate, that's been something that I hit on over and over again, is how can we use this technology that we've got, understanding that things have changed over the last few decades, and that mail is just one of the tools that you use today, but it does a few things that marketers have trouble accomplishing in other mediums. So let's find ways to leverage that advantage that particular channel has and do it better. So we talk about that all the time in that column. The technology keeps changing, so it's not like I'm writing the same things all the time, but we're definitely hitting providers, which are the majority of the readers of my column in the magazine, keep reminding them that they need to get into the data business. They really should start thinking themselves as data companies who happen to mail, rather than the other way around. And that's a tough one for a lot of those companies who are second generation, third generation mailing companies. They're used to just getting in the file, slapping on the addresses and getting it out to the post office. And they're great at that. I'm not saying that's a skill that's not worthwhile, but a new environment that we find ourselves in, you've got to kind of start with that data and say, what can I do with this?
It's the reason direct mail is always going to survive, because there is always going to be a business case to support the need for it because of its effectiveness. But you're right, the marketers are going to want to see all this other stuff too as a part of that story.
Yeah, it's all interconnected. Mail connects to the digital world and vice versa. I call it like an on-ramp and an off-ramp. You can use mail to get people into your digital channel by using QR codes or personal URLs. It can also be used if you're digitally connected with someone and you've kind of lost touch. They've stopped opening your emails or visiting your site. You can use mail to re-engage them by getting their attention and being one of the 4 or 5 pieces of mail that's in the mailbox every day instead of just 200 emails. Instant credibility that you know what you're talking about. Even if people don't read the book, if they know you are the author of how to blah, 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 whatever it is your area of expertise is, and it's published and they can buy it on Amazon, that gives you a degree of credibility that you will never get by publishing blogs or white papers or doing articles on LinkedIn posts. So that, I think there's a huge advantage here, and those are the kind of people that I'm looking to work with. Now, sometimes people want to use it for different objectives, and I try to get would-be authors to identify those up front. What is it that you want to accomplish? Because that's going to make a difference into the kind of book that we want to write. Do you want to pass along the knowledge and experience that you've gained over decades of experience in this one industry so that people that follow you have a basis to understand, and that your customers and prospects know where you're coming from or what your philosophy is?
But if you want to stand out, you got to have something to say.
And it'll last you a long time. You publish a book now, it's going to be useful 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So the investment that you make, and I try to keep it affordable for people. That, you can say, well, it's a lot of money to spend on one thing. Yeah, but I think that, you can use that in so many different ways and for such a long period of time that it's really not as spendy as it seems to be.
Yeah, no, that's really fun. And are you able to mention any of the books or people that you've worked with, or is that sort of your ghostwriter?
If you got something out of that article, whether it was AI created, AI assisted, or totally human written, if it delivered something of value to you and it's accurate, what difference does it make? I have one conversation with a client who was very concerned that some of the blog articles we were writing were AI generated. They weren't. We proved it by taking an article that we'd written 3 or 4 years ago and ran it through the AI checker, and it said it was 40-50% AI written, it was ever released. So, they weren't always accurate in finding those
guys,
kinds of things.
I think people are really tired of AI. I think people are just exhausted, to be honest. It's so overwhelming and so encompassing that, again, I'm just taking this perspective. It's sort of like customer experience. You got to have it, right? Yes.
Yep.
Good customer experience is fundamental. AI, it's going to be in everything. So can we have a conversation where we can just make those assumptions and move on?
Well, I think it ties into some of the things that we were talking about earlier, Andy, getting away from just content generation, which is what the first thing people think about when they talk about AI, because it's
guess
something
where I see
everybody
it
can
is-
understand.
I almost see it as like a good and evil. Like we're gonna have the AI that does the work you described, and we're gonna have another set of AI tools over here to look at it and go, well, yes, no, maybe, should check on that. This is maybe true, not true, and we're gonna wind up having this battle of LLMs that are going to give us the truth. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see that. We're each going to have our own little agent, right, that runs around and says, hey, Andy, here's what's good and here's what's not good.
That's the objective.